Now, what I have for you today, I have for you metaphysical poet that's very significant, and I have to discuss. Even I just want to send that PDF file yesterday. I sent it today because I have to add some part. उसमें अलग से मुझे कुछ जोड़ना पड़ा, खास करके कि मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्री और एलिजाबेथन पोइट्री में क्या डिफरेंस है उसको लेकर के. बट हियर I would like to tell you कि I have shared you PDF file. That file is available in WhatsApp group, and I will discuss with you uh, what is metaphysical poetry, what the basic characteristic it has. Because if I talk about Renaissance, if I talk about Reformation, after it you will come to know. I have sent you syllabus also. After it you find what metaphysical poetry. So I have prepared that notes. I will tell you what you have to do, which words you have to take. After taking those words, you have to give your answer in a simple and beautiful way in your own words. So let me explain to us three important points. First, I would like to discuss with you, if I talk about metaphysical school of poetry, then what the points we have to keep in mind. Number one point, when I talk about metaphysical poetry, then remember that it's a school of poetry, a group of poets that was entirely different to Elizabethan poetry. That was entirely completely different. Yeah, they have the dissimilarity with Elizabethan poets. And this group of poetry, this school of poetry, this group of poets, it came in which age? They emerged in Jacobean age. Number one point, which we have to keep in our mind, they emerged in Jacobean age. And second thing, who was the leader of that school of poetry? Alexander John Donne was the leader of that school of poetry. John Donne was the leader of that school of poetry. Second important point, if John Donne was the leader of that school of poetry, then who used the word metaphysics for the first time? The word metaphysics was used by John Dryden for the first time. The word metaphysics was used by John Dryden for the first time. And Dr. Samuel Johnson coined the term. These are the some important information. Even if you go with the PDF file, I have just mentioned you points to memorize, your points to remember. If you appear any other examination, then in objective mode or one liner I have also given you. See, you have to recall these points. If you write your answer, you don't have to miss, because it will tell you how much informative your answer is and how much do you know about uh, metaphysical school of poetry. So when you go with metaphysical school of poetry, first you have to remember three names. Number one, John Donne is known as father of metaphysical school of poetry. John Donne is known as father of metaphysical school of poetry. Number one. Number two, the term metaphysics was used, introduced for the first time by John Dryden for the poetry of John Donne. And John Dryden wrote, "Donne affects metaphysics." This was the phrase. This was the phrase used by John Dryden for the poetry of John Donne. Donne affects metaphysics. Later on, uh, in his critical essay Life of Cowley, written by Dr. Samuel Johnson, in that critical essay, Dr. Samuel Johnson coined this term. So John Donne, father of metaphysical school of poetry, John Dryden introduced the term metaphysics, and Dr. Samuel Johnson coined. And third point, as a poet, as a school of poetry, this particular school of poetry was started by whom? It was started by John Donne. So John Donne was the leader of this school of poetry, and John Donne belongs to which age? He belongs to Jacobean age. So when you read, when you come to know about metaphysical school of poetry, you have to keep in your mind, was it entirely different? Was it entirely different to Elizabethan poetry? Was it a revolt against Elizabethan school of poetry? You will come to know yes. You will come to know, yes, जो metaphysical school of poetry, it was a revolt against the traditional composition of Elizabethan school of poetry. And how it was a revolt, how it was a reaction, let me explain. First, I will explain it orally, then I will take that notes, I will take that sheet and explain it in a detailed way how it was a revolt. Second point, I would like to tell you, when I talk about it was a revolt, on what basis it was a revolt, and you have then to show where do you find the spirit of the revolt? Where do you find the spirit of the revolt? Was the revolt on the basis of expression, art of expression? Was the revolt on the basis of the content, means subject matter? So you find not on the basis of the content or subject matter, not only on the basis of content or subject matter. The revolt was largely on the basis of the art of expression, the manner of the treatment of subject matter, the manner of the treatment of that subject matter. So here you find a big change. Let me tell you another important point. When I talk about metaphysics, then what do you mean by this word or this term? Metaphysics, if you divide this word, you find two syllables, meta and physics. What you find here, you find meta means beyond, physics means the particular physical world, the physical world, the structure of the physical world which we see with our open eyes, which we see with our open eyes. So metaphysics means a type of, it's a word in which you find the thing has been presented, the thing has been written about something which is beyond the physical world. Yeah, you see here some element, something in which you come to know that is not associated or related to this worldly life. For example, if I talk about God, if I talk about life after death, if I talk about rotation of the planet, if I talk about flood, if I talk about storm, then you will come to know these are the example of what metaphysics. Because we don't see these things in our normal life, in our day-to-day life. So metaphysics, a term which refers to poets are going to talk, yeah, poets are going to present images, poets are going to express their thought related to such a world that is beyond the physical world. That's beyond the physical world. That is the point. And how do you see, how do you find? You will come to know if you take only one poem of John Donne, A Veiled Diction Forbidding Morning. In that poem, you see the poet just compares virtuous men, as virtuous men pass, as virtuous men, something he uses the word as virtuous men, just I'm missing the line. So you will come to know here he tells that the rotation of the what, the rotation or the movement of the planet. So he compares that as virtuous men pass, yeah, they leave this world mildly without making any noise. In the same way, he says that the true lover, they also, when they separate, when they just, you can find a type of detachment, when you find a type of detachment or a type of separation, you will come to know what? You will come to know without making any noise, they leave because their relationship is not on the base, that's not based on physical relationship, but that's based on mutual understanding. That's the understanding of heart, that's the understanding of soul. These things you find in true love. And in that poem, he compares the soul of the two lovers with the compass, where you find dissimilarity, where you find such a thing. And he also says that earthquake, if earthquake comes, That earthquake is an example of what? That earthquake is an example. Yeah, it's just like what? It's just like, yeah. Someone is saying ki video is stopped. Yeah, is it stopped? Yeah, are you getting my voice?
Yes, earlier it was there, but now it's okay.
Okay, okay, okay. So I was telling you, when you go with the point, what when you go with the point, the particular thing, and what is that thing? Ki you will come to know poet compares the common lover or such a type of lover who has only hunger for the body of the beloved. He compares that lover just earthquake, as earthquake comes and brings havoc, brings the destruction and devastation. In the same way, he says that when in the absence of the beloved, the common lover also treats like a earthquake. But on the other hand, he compares true lover. On the other hand, he compares the true lover with the movement of the planet. And he says that there are so many planets and those planets move and they don't make a noise. They didn't bring any havoc. They didn't bring any destruction because they are just like what true lovers are just like the rotation of the planet. So here you come to know the comparison of the true lover, the comparison of the true lover with the movement or the rotation of the planet is an example of what metaphysical conceit. On the other hand, the comparison of the common lover or physical lover, those lover who believe in the beauty of the beloved, physical beauty, that is what? That is an example of what? That is an example of, you will come to know what? That is an example of, you can say, uh, he compares common lover with the coming of earthquake. That is also an example of metaphysical conceit because earthquake, because movement of the planet. It's what? It's not a thing which we see in our daily life. That is beyond physics. That is beyond physics. So, what I want to say, when you go with this poet, especially this school of poetry, you find some common features which you don't find in Elizabethan poetry. And what are these? Elizabethan poetry was highly musical, highly lyrical, highly alliterative, and Elizabethan poetry was highly emotional. You find personality, you find subjectivity, and you find it was composed in sonnet form. You find it was composed in lyric form. Elizabethan poetry. You find you find these things. So what I want to say, again, someone is writing a video has stopped, but not from my side. Is it stopped? Can anyone respond
Sir,
me?
it is okay, sir. I'm getting your voice, sir.
Oh, okay, someone is saying video has stopped, but not from my side because there is no networking issue in my area. Okay, so I was telling you ki what you have to keep in your mind. When I compare metaphysical poetry with Elizabethan poetry, you have to make a chart. And in that chart, you will be able to explain Elizabethan poetry was what? Highly emotional. And you don't find thought. If you find thought, you find thought and emotion both have been separated. But when you talk about metaphysical school of poetry, you find fusion of thought and emotion, fusion of thought, and that art is known as unification of sensibility. That art is known as association of sensibility. But on the other hand, when thought is separated to emotion, that is known as dissociation of sensibility. So other thing which you have to keep in your mind, that was the in metaphysical school of poetry we find far-fetched images, we find conceit, we find advocacy of truth, we find something innovation, We find something learning means they were made of learning and they displayed their learning. They were made of learning. Abrupt starting, dramatic lyric form, colloquial language, archaic words. These things you find. These things you have to go there. So these are the common features, and I would like to share here the PDF file. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's it. That's good. So you find what key? You find metaphysical poetry, and what you find here is a question. Write an essay on metaphysical poetry. So I most of the things I have explained, but I would like to explain key what I have for you. In this sheet, you come to know metaphysical school of poetry came in early 17th century. You have to remember it came in early 17th century. And what was that age? That was the Jacobean age, means after Elizabethan age. In history of English literature, you find Jacobean age, and this Jacobean age covers the period from 1603 to 1625. Second important point is John Donne is known as father of this school of poetry. Who is known? John Donne is known as father of this school of poetry. जॉन ड्राइडन यूज द फ्रेज जॉन ड्राइडन ने पहली बार उन्होंने फ्रेज यूज किया था ही अफेक्टेड मेटाफिजिक्स ऑलरेडी आई टोल्ड यू not only in his satires but in his amorous verses. Then you find the name Dr. Johnson coined the term metaphysics and called Cowley. Cowley was also a metaphysical poet, and he called Cowley a poet of the metaphysical school of Donne. A poet of the metaphysical school of Donne. In his life of Cowley. What was the name of the critical essay? The name of the critical essay was The Life of Cowley, and it has been written by whom? Dr. Johnson, and in that critical essay he coined this term. Now in the second passage, so in the first passage, what did I tell you? I just told you कि metaphysical school of poetry came in 17th century and in Jacobean age. Then I mentioned you some names: John Donne, John Dryden, Dr. Samuel Johnson, and Cowley. After it, I have in second passage, what do you find? कि metaphysical poetry in the hands of John Donne was a revolt. This point you have to remember. It was a revolt. किसके खिलाफ? Against the traditional Elizabethan poetry. That is another point. It was a revolt, बस किसके खिलाफ था? Against the Elizabethan poetry. Jordan disregarded Elizabethan feelings and emotional expression. And emotional expression, he fused emotion with reason. एक नई चीज मार्केट में लाई गई है किसके द्वारा? जॉर्डन के द्वारा. वह क्या था? He fused emotion with reason. उन्होंने इमोशन को रीजन के साथ फ्यूज किया and brought the concept of unification of sensibility. These words you have to mention, and brought the concept of unification of sensibility. So in the second passage, what do you find? In the second passage, you find what has been done by John Donne. John Donne as a poet just you can say revolted against Elizabethan school of poetry, and when he revolted against Elizabethan school of poetry, what he did, you will come to know that just he just disregarded. And what did he disregard? He disregarded. He disregarded, and what was that? He disregarded that there is no significance. There is no significance of the poem if there is no fusion of thought and emotion. So thought and emotion must be fused. फ्यूजन का मतलब जोड़ना. ऐसा ना हो कि इमोशन अलग चल रहा, थॉट अलग चल रहा. नो, नॉट एट ऑल. दे मस्ट बी फ्यूज्ड. दे हैव टू पुट टुगेदर. So you, what do you find? You find the fusion of thought and emotion. And here you will come to know he fused emotion with reason and brought the concept of unification of sensibility. This is a very important important phrase, unification of sensibility. You don't need to explain because already you explain. Unification of sensibility का मतलब fusion of thought and emotion. Again, you will come to know कि metaphysical poets 1921, या सॉरी द मॉडर्न पोएट टी.एस. एलियट. अब यही पे एक चीज और दिया गया है कि मॉडर्न एज तक बात कर दी गई. मॉडर्न पोएट टी.एस. एलियट इन हिज क्रिटिकल एसे metaphysical poets admired Jordan and his followers for this innovation. It's an you can say it's an innovation, and this innovation was done by whom? By Jordan and his followers. And this is why modern poet T.S. Eliot admired him in his critical and metaphysical poets. Jordan and his followers for this innovation. Then I told you metaphysical poetry has some basic characteristics जो आपको यहाँ जानना जरूरी है. उसका क्या क्या कैरेक्टरिस्टिक थी. मैंने आपको पहले भी एक चीज एक्सप्लेन किया कि दे वर मेन ऑफ लर्निंग. नई चीजों को मार्केट में लाते थे. कैसे दे वर मेन ऑफ लर्निंग? ऑलरेडी आई टोल्ड यू. पहला तो उन्होंने लर्न क्या किया था? फ्यूजन ऑफ थॉट एंड इमोशन. इन एलिजाबेथन एज poetry was highly emotional, and they followed the Petrarchan model of poetry, because in Petrarchan model, yeah, if they have taken the subject matter of love, you find what? You find Platonic concept of love in Elizabethan poetry, but Jordan disregarded both Petrarchan model of the poem and Platonic concept of love. And what did he bring? He brought fusion of thought and emotion. He brought abrupt starting. He used colloquial language. He used jerky versification. So you find what? They were men of learning. They brought some new things. They brought some new ideas. They brought some new concept in the poetry. And second was their love of daring imagery, enigmatic expression, of peculiar sensualism. उन्होंने लव को लेकर के जैसा प्रेजेंट किया है, उनके लव में in some poems you find sensuousness. You find that lover is not imploring or wooing or requesting to beloved that the beloved is an angelic figure. No, not at all. Lover is not saying. Yeah, just I want to know कि someone is writing कि video is not visible. Are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir. Video is
Okay,
visible,
okay.
sir, for me.
Okay, I think it's visible for everyone, but those who are out of network, yeah, in the area where there is a poor connectivity, that side is only problem.
Yeah,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Before I was not able to hear you, but now I am able to hear you. Your voice is clear as well
Okay,
as
okay,
video.
okay. And all the things are going to be recorded after as I conclude my lecture, and I as I post this video on YouTube channel or send you in your group, you will be able to get each means all the whole video, the whole lecture, you will be able to get it. So I was explaining what I was explaining ki what they did, they were the men of learning. Their love of daring imagery, enigmatic expression, you find what you, this is a very significant point. Why this point is significant? Because here you see, yeah, here you find ki they disregarded Platonic concept of love, and in Platonic concept of love there was no room for physical union between lover and beloved. No room for physical union. But he insisted physical union, especially if you take the poem The Flea, written by this man, written by John Donne. You find here ki the flea, that is there was a mosquito, and that mosquito sucked the blood of his beloved, and beloved become irritated, and she killed that mosquito. And before killing the mosquito also sucked the blood of the lover. And you will come to know ki, just imagine what did he say. He said that, oh, you have taken three lives. You have murdered not a single person. You have just murdered three lives, because beloved got irritated, and she just killed that flea. Then what poet says? Poet says that you have not killed a flea. That was not only a mosquito, but you have murdered me. You have murdered my love. And then he explains that because it has sucked your love, it has sucked your blood, it has sucked my blood, and when our blood and your blood mingled, then there was another life in the body of that mosquito. So if you killed that mosquito, it means that you killed me, you killed yourself, and you killed the coming generation. So through you will come to know through this image what the signal he here was to give. He is here giving the physical union between lover and beloved. So when you explain any point, you have to take the poem as I have said to you canonization, as I have said to you canonization. Even you what the poem you have read either in BA or in MA, that is go and catch the falling star, death shall not be proud, or a valediction forbidding morning, and good morrow. Whatever the poem you have read, you have to take only a poem and then explain ki these hits, these points you find there as I told you. Now, so you find their love of daring image. Second point, novel ideas in novel manner. They brought some new ideas, novel ideas, some new idea that is not a any new point. Yeah, far-fetched images. This is a very important point. Far-fetched images is a type of image. Some objects, some images have been presented, but they don't. You don't see these images in your daily life. They are what dissimilar objects. Yeah, such a type of things which doesn't belong to our physical world. Beyond physical world, as I told you, key movement are the rotation of the planet, are the coming of the flood, and the coming of the earthquake. If these images have been presented and that are not found in our day-to-day life, so and that is beyond the physical world, so these images are known as far-fetched images. Metaphysical conceit, yeah, it's also a very significant point. Metaphysical conceit is an image. Conceit is an image in which two dissimilar things are put together. conceit एक इमेज होता है जिसमें दो असमान चीजों को साथ साथ रखा जाता है, उसको क्या कहा जाता है? मेटाफिजिकल कंसीट. जैसे जो है इन a valediction forbidding morning, you will come to know the two souls of lover and beloved, of lover and beloved, beloved, has been, of lover and beloved has been compared with the compass, has been compared with the two needle of the compass. जो एक कंपास होता है उसकी जो टू नीडल्स होती है, उन टू नीडल से सोल की तुलना की जाती है. तो सोल कहाँ, सोल केवल सजी हुई नहीं है, बल्कि सोल इज द पार्ट ऑफ गॉड, and such a thing has been compared with the non-living thing. So this is conceit. Because in conceit you find two dissimilar things are put together. टू dissimilar, दो असमान चीजों को साथ साथ रखने की कला को क्या कहा जाता है? मेटाफिजिकल conceit. Now you find another point, advocacy of truth. Whatever the poem has been written, what the argument they have and what the dalil they have, they just talk in their favor. They give argument after argument. They want to prove that they are on the right path, they are on the right direction. So you find this nature you find, and that is what the nature, that is the nature of advocacy of truth. Now the next point, excessive use of metaphors, simile and hyperbole. You find there is the excessive use of metaphors, simile and hyperbole. You can take any poem, a well diction for meaning morning. The first line starts as virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go some of their surface, do say, and some say no. So you will come to know the very first stanza starts with the using of simile and all these things. Abrupt starting, sudden starting, and this sudden starting means without making any background, without making telling any story or creating any something harmony or any positive atmosphere. The poem starts suddenly. Now the next point is undissociated sensibility. This is another point. Already I explained you the combination of thought and feeling. This is known what? Undissociated sensibility. Undissociated sensibility, the combination of thought and feeling. That is the unification of sensibility. तो यू फाइंड डिसोसिएट, डिसोसिएट का मतलब होता है सेपरेशन, अनडिसोसिएट का मतलब जो सेपरेटेड ना हो. इसी को अनडिसोसिएटेड का दूसरा नाम एसोसिएशन भी हो सकता है. एसोसिएटेड सेंसिबिलिटी, अनडिसोसिएटेड सेंसिबिलिटी, और क्या कहते हैं आपका, अगर इसी का अपोजिट जाएंगे, दैट इज द डिसोसिएशन ऑफ सेंसिबिलिटी, दैट इज द सेपरेशन, बट हियर नॉट सेपरेशन बट कॉम्बिनेशन. और दिस characteristic you don't find in the poetry, Elizabethan poetry. In Elizabethan poetry, emotion is running in other way, in other direction, and thought is going in another direction. Now the next point is juxtaposition or interfusion of apparently dissimilar or exactly opposite objects. This is another important point. Juxtaposition, juxtaposition टू ब्रिंग नियर या टू पुट टूगेदर, किसी भी चीज को करीब लाना, साथ लाना. किसका juxtaposition? या इंटरफ्यूजन, इंटरफ्यूजन समथिंग मिंगल, समथिंग कंबाइन. किसका कंबाइन? अपॉरेंटली डिसिमिलर, ऐसी चीज जो अपने में डिसिमिलर है, आर एग्जैक्टली अपोजिट, या जो अपने में अपोजिट चल रही, उसको यहाँ पे लाना. और ये चीजें मैंने आपको कैसा भी दिया, अवेल डिक्शन फॉर बीटिंग मॉर्निंग में यू फाइंड द इमेजेस ऑफ व्हाट, यू फाइंड द इमेजेस ऑफ द कंपास एंड इट्स टू needle. Now the next point you find metaphysical wit and conceit. That is what, that is the comparing a pair of lovers. You find metaphysical wit and conceit. That is comparing a pair of lovers to a pair of compass. Already I told you that this is metaphysical wit or conceit, comparing a pair of lovers to a pair of compass. And I have taken Hobbes, writer of Leviathan. And what did he say? Hobbes in Leviathan defined wit as the capability to find out similarities, to find out similarities between things which they may look very dissimilar. If anyone asks you what is wit, so in the words of Leviathan, in the words of Hobbes, writer of Leviathan, wit means what? Wit means keep finding similarity between two dissimilar things. And what was another characteristic? Learnedness. What was use of prosaic words? And you find the use of prosaic words in his poem. And later on, it was much appreciated by Alexander Pope and John Dryden, and also Dr. Samuel Johnson, especially. And what the his versification? Versification is coarse. You can say coarse. Versification is coarse and jerky, in contrast to the honeyed smooth of much Elizabethan. In Elizabethan poetry, you find what type of verses? Honeyed smoothness. Honeyed smoothness, something sweet, melodious, euphony, something you can say that attracts our ear, that attracts our soul, where there is a emotion, feeling, these things. And in this way, you find the same way you find the versification. But when I talk about metaphysical poetry, what type of versification you find? Coarse and jerky versification you find. So these were the points which were highly significant, and I told you what you have to do. Now the next is contribution of metaphysical poets to English literary literature. क्या क्या contribution रहा है? सबसे पहला, the best religious poetry to the English language was given by them. Herbert, Donne, Vaughan, Crashaw, and Traherne are the most important among the religious English poetry. So you will come to know कि द बेस्ट रिलीजियस पोयम बिफोर जॉन मिल्टन, जॉन मिल्टन से पहले अगर रिलीजियस पोयम किसी ने लिखा था तो मेटाफिजिकल पोएट थे. इवन इन एलिजाबेथन एज यू फाइंड ग्रेट पोएट Edmund Spenser. He didn't write any religious poem or any poem that has religious subject matter. Whether you take Fairy Queen in allegorical form, that can be, but if you talk about epithalamium, prosymilion, shepherd's calendar, if you talk about Amoriti, if you take any other poem, Astrophel and Elegy the Death of Sydney, you can take anything, but you don't find religious subject matter. So the best religious poem before John Milton in English literature was given by them. It's a beautiful contribution. So you have to write down. सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट कि जॉर्डन की एक बहुत बेहतरीन चीज लाया जो बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन माना जाएगा. जॉर्डन डिमोलिश्ड द पेट्रार्चन ट्रेडिशन. And what was the Petrarchan tradition? In Petrarchan tradition, you will come to know that was the use of emotion, feelings, and also emotion was separated from thought, thought was separated from emotion. एक point ये था. दूसरा point ये था कि Petrarch has written sonnet that was love sonnet, and in the love sonnet, beloved was requesting to, not beloved, lover was requesting to beloved, या lover was wooing beloved and presented beloved as an angelic figure, gave regard, request, and it seems that the lover has been presented as a servant. So such a type of tradition you find even all the sonnets to some extent. I'm not saying that they did it blindly. No, to some extent, you find the same concept, but it was broken by whom? It was just to collapse this tradition. So Janda demolished the Petrarchan tradition of love poetry and gave a realistic, and you find what key there is a word, gave a realistic, frankly sensual. You don't find sensuousness बहुत ज्यादा उधर नहीं पाते एलिजाबेथन पोइट्री में, but here you find a realistic, frankly sensual, and sometimes downright cynical amatory words you find. There is another characteristic that has been given. The third point is the intellectualism and the compositeness of its imagery is another contribution. Intellectualism and compositeness, how to compose poem using intellectualism. That is another contribution of this school of poetry. Ruggedness in diction made another way express and thought, that is jerky versification, which I explained. Ki jerky versification, ruggedness in diction, use of archaic words. This is also the contribution. I just then told you what you have to remember, metaphysical points to remember. Metaphysical poetry was a revolt against Elizabethan school of poetry. Already I explained. Metaphysical poetry emerged in Jacobean age, 1625. Jandar is known as father of metaphysical school of poetry. Already I explained. Jandar, first official poet of Restoration age. John Dryden, first official poet of Restoration age, covers the period from 1660 to 1700. Used the term metaphysics for the first time. He wrote the affects metaphysics. Dr. Samuel Johnson, father of English dictionary, coined the term metaphysics. T.S. Eliot, modern poet, wrote a critical essay, Metaphysical Poets, in 1921. Vaughan, Crusher, Trahan, Herbert, Andrew Marvell, and Jander were well-known metaphysical poets. Herbert has been called the saint of metaphysical school. His Temple was the most Anglican poem of the age. Crusher was the only Roman Catholic among the metaphysical poets. Andrew Marvell, Milton's secretary, the only Puritan. He wrote to his choir mistress an example of secular poem in theme. So in this way, I explained you what is metaphysical school of poetry, what you have to take, what how you have to go. These things I explained you, these things I told you. So just I want to say I have done, and it now it's your chance. You have to explain these things. You have to go with these points. Yeah. Now, if you have any query, if you have any doubt, I can take one or two questions. If you want to ask something, I can take one or two questions because I have also to go somewhere. So this is why, because that day some I think today there is a poor connectivity in some area. So I think perhaps Hakeem bhai or someone has dropped the message. Ki, sir, give me some time. Some I have some doubt. So if you have any doubt, you can just ask. And today I have prepared another note, that is John Milton as an epic poet, and also the impact of Renaissance and Reformation on John Milton's poetry.
नो सर, बीच बीच में थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम थी, बट आई विल वॉच अगेन एंड देन
Okay, okay, okay. सियाराम भाई, यस के सैफी जी.
Yes, sir. I have a question regarding previous lecture. If you please permit me.
Yeah,
Could you
undoubtedly,
please?
most welcome.
Actually, sir, you that day you explained Shakespearean tragedy. So
Yeah,
I had a doubt regarding 2 points. First of all,
yeah,
I couldn't understand about poetic justice.
yeah, yeah.
You told
Poetic
that
justice.
there is no use of poetic justice in Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah.
So I have read somewhere that there is a use of poetic justice in Shakespearean tragedy. Like in case of Macbeth, we see the use of poetic justice. So first of all, I would like to know what is the definition of poetic justice, and is it used in Shakespearean tragedy or not?
Yeah. First, I would like to tell you 2 points. Ki there are two phrases. One is poetic license, and second is poetic justice. Poetic license, it was used by John Dryden, and poetic license and poetic justice. This phrase has been given by Thomas Rhymer. Here, I would like to explain one significant point. Ki you are asking a question. Ki Do we find poetic justice in the plays of William Shakespeare or not? No, not at all. Never. Shakespeare didn't use poetic justice. The phrase poetic justice means, or the phrase poetic justice refers, one significant point. If the author is working, if the writer is working as a judge, if the poet is working as a judge, and if the poet is using this particular word directly or saying these things, कि Macbeth committed sin and this is why he has been punished. If you find this dialogue, if you find these words, कि Macbeth committed sin and this is why he has been punished. If the punishment of if poet comes in this favor, कि Macbeth was a villain, Macbeth committed a sin, and what was that sin? He murdered King Duncan, that was an innocent king. It means what happened with Macbeth, I'm going to justify, वह गलत नहीं बल्कि सही हुआ. You don't find this statement in the works of whom? You don't find this statement in the works of Macbeth, especially William Shakespeare. Second point I would like to tell you, if you say कि Macbeth has been punished, undoubtedly Macbeth has been punished, but the cause of his punishment was what? The cause of his punishment was only his character, not his destiny. In Shakespearean comedy, there is a concept, character is destiny, not destiny is character. Character is destiny, that is important, but in Greek tragedy, destiny is character. Even I explained, if you go with the concept, character is destiny, it means as you sow, so you will reap. But this statement will not be given. And here you find when Macbeth says life is a tale told by an idiot, it seems that he is repenting. He is repenting. And sometimes it seems that reader's sympathy is with Macbeth. Sometimes it seems, what I am saying, if I am a reader, sometimes you will come to know, it seems that his sympathy is with Macbeth because anyone can has ambition, anyone can be mislead, yeah, anyone can just go on wrong path, anyone can go. But if that particular person is repenting, if that particular person has some remorse, it means that his soul is alive, it means that he has some spirit of humanity, it means that he is thinking that he was not a right one, he was not a right one. So that is what? That is the structure of the play, and in that structure, you come to know Shakespeare creates a situation, and in that situation, you find the downfall of Macbeth. But Shakespeare didn't say कि the thing which happened with Macbeth, I'm going to justify. That is the point. If any author, if any writer come and says, yeah, as he just uses such a word, yeah, becomes does not use any mouthpiece or any character, but directly he says, कि what has been this, it is going to be justified. Yeah, what has been happened back then, that is the poetic justice. And if the things are going to be left in the hand of the audience have to decide what has been done, what has happened with Macbeth, then audience has to decide. If the poet has already decided, that's not a good thing. वो चीजें वहां पे नहीं, you don't see that thing. Yes, yeah, Ram.
Yes, sir, I got it regarding poetic justice. One more question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, that answer was already of near about 4 pages. It means more than 350 words. And moreover, you told to elaborate few things in the same answer. So I have a question, sir. We have to write in 250 words. If we find long answer, so we will have to write in 250 words.
Yeah.
And answer was already of more than 350 words. So
Yeah.
how can we write in 250 words in selected subject matter, sir? Could you please guide us?
Yeah. One thing I would like to say कि I have put some quotations. I have put some quotations. If you have to write in 250 words, you can minimize, you can cut off some quotations from that as well. And but you don't have to minimize or cut off the significant point, the heads which I have discussed with you. If I say that you have to elaborate Shakespearean tragedy or Shakespearean comedy in the light of any play, then you have to take only those heads, and you have to take any tragedy or any comedy, then you have to explain it. Then you have to explain it. And the best way is what? Ki if I have given you 350, normally you will come to know when you have 350, never anyone is going to learn 350 words by heart. He only gets some significant points, he only gets some important points, and then he develops his own diction or art of expression. So I gave you only content, I gave you only, you can say, key matter, and you have to develop your own self.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yes, yes, Saifiji, yeah, I will take only one question because someone is calling me. Perhaps you want to say something?
No, no, I don't want to say. My doubts are clear, sir.
No, I'm not asking Siaram. Yes, yes, Saifiji, he has raised his hand. Saifiji, are you getting my voice?
Yes, sir, I am getting your voice. My doubts are clear, sir.
Okay, 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 okay. So we will meet tomorrow. Okay.